Hey everyone, this is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. Someone on Instagram asked me to discuss why I think side pieces and mistresses are jealous of wives, because apparently Ariane recently admitted that she was jealous of Melody. And I've discussed this topic before on my channel, and I've always known that Ariane was jealous of Melody, like many women in long-term affairs are jealous of the wives. So initially, the side piece or the mistress believes that they have a one-up on the wife, and this is usually during the love bombing stage of the affair. Love bombing is like programming, and it's brainwashing. And love bombing is used to manipulate and hypnotize the mistress into letting her guard down by going against her integrity and her better judgment. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like it when the wives attack the mistresses or they fight the mistress, because sometimes their husband has worked really hard to be a cheater, okay? So during the love bombing stage, the husband has the time to call off work. He can leave early to set up dates and motel rendezvous, and the husband's responsive to the mistress when receiving texts or phone calls during working hours, and sometimes they may even accept phone calls while they're at home with their wives and their families, because the wife at this point is not suspicious of her husband, and she trusts him and she wants to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not a cheater. So he abuses this and has the mistress calling his home to give her the impression that he's actually committed to her, that he's no longer interested in his wife, and it's a part of the game. And so the husband has convinced his wife that he's a faithful man and he only has high eyes for her, while at the same time he's actively working his mistress and trying to get her to sleep with him or to just give him attention or validations. Some married men don't want to cheat sexually. They just want conversation. They want to feel like they're being worshipped. And then unfortunately that attention seeking turns into like an emotional affair or a sexual affair. So yeah, it's not always about cheating in the beginning. Sometimes husbands are just looking for attention and that's it. So anyway, the side piece is doted on in the beginning of the affair. She's receiving compliments and gifts and sex, and more than likely she's being told, like Ariane was being told, that the wife isn't satisfying the husband's needs. They're not having sex, and the marriage has grown stale over time because they're older, the wife has gained some weight, there are kids, and it gets boring after a while. So I get that, right? Fine. The husband then convinces the mistress that she is his salvation and that he needs her to fill the void in his life. So the mistress believes that she's doing her married boyfriend a favor by allowing him to use her body for recreation in exchange for flattery, attention, and some financial gifts. Married boyfriends work hard to present themselves as a fantasy or a dream come true for their mistress, and then they convince the mistress that they're star-crossed lovers, and if it wasn't for the pesky wife, they'd be together. As I've stated before, a lot of women feel obligated to relieve a man of his suffering, even at the expense of her own peace, sanity, and dignity. So she'll ignore her own guilt and suspicion to honor this man's right to have his cake and eat it too. And since a lot of women see other women as competition, more than likely she'll justify being a mistress by blaming the wife for not appreciating a good black man or a good man, because a good man is so hard to find. Ariane thought that Melody was ungrateful and selfish for not giving Martel whatever he wanted, because Martel was a bald-headed black dildo who was a successful entrepreneur who loved his children. But after the love bombing stage, which may last for, weeks to several months, the husband has to switch up his game because he doesn't want to make his wife suspicious of the fact that he keeps coming home late from work. He's hiding his phone now. He's calling out from work early. The check's looking different, right? He keeps traveling for work. And at some point over the course of several weeks and months, the wife becomes suspicious. And, sometimes the husband gets careless and he feels emboldened because as the affair goes on and more feelings get involved, he's convinced himself that everyone benefits from him cheating I mean, in his mind, if he's happy, then his wife and his mistress should be happy for him because, again, he's the prize. His happiness and satisfaction is paramount to everyone and everything. And to make matters more complicated, the mistress starts to want more. She's realizing that the husband's words are not aligning with his actions. He's contradicting himself. If he and his wife are on the outs and they're emotionally disconnected, right? They don't have sex anymore. Or their sex is whack according to him, then what does it matter if the husband spends the night with the mistress? Why can't she call him when she feels like it? Why can't she see him on her birthday? Or why is he spending time with his wife on Valentine's Day, Christmas, and Thanksgiving? Why is this married man hiding her from the very important people in his life if he's done with his marriage? And so at some point, the lust and the enthusiasm and the optimism that was present at the beginning of this affair begins to wane as the reality of the bullshit sets in. So at this point, the mistress begins to envy the wife for filling the void that she obviously cannot fill. In fact, the wife fills a bigger void for the husband than the mistress does. The mistress begins to understand that she's being used, and she starts to wonder why, if she's all these amazing things that the husband told her she was, why is he still married to their nemesis? Because remember, if it wasn't for the pesky wife, they would be together. So that makes her an enemy to both of them. So why is he still married to her nemesis? Why is he treating her, the mistress, as if she's something to hide, something to be ashamed of? If she's giving him everything that he said he needed, wouldn't he be proud of her? Wouldn't he want to claim her? The thing is, and you guys know this, the husband told the mistress what he needed from her, but the things he needed from his wife are different. At first, the husband pretended that the mistress was so amazing and so special. I've never met a woman like you before. You're so different. She was so amazing and special that she was worth risking his marriage for. Now, right, months later or weeks later, she's not even good enough to receive a text message on Saturday evening because her married boyfriend is spending time with his wife and family. The mistress initially may have thought that she was more beautiful. She was sexier and more interesting than the wife, because why else would a man risk losing everything he values unless the woman is all of those things? The husband told the mistress that he needed her to bring joy to his life. So it changed. So the mistress goes from being, head over heels in love to now being paranoid and jealous about the wife, because now she feels like when her married boyfriend goes home to his wife, he's cheating on her. Isn't that stupid? She's concerned that her married boyfriend is devaluing her the same way he devalued his wife. And so what happens is the mistress starts to actively compete with the wife by doing the things that the wife is doing. She's not just giving him sex, right? She's now cooking and cleaning and massaging him and trying to give her married boyfriend the wife experience while he's with her. Okay? And she wants to be at home away from home. She wants him to need her, to miss her, and to love her the way that he does his wife, or more than he does his wife. Now she starts to ask herself, why her and not me? Not realizing that it was never going to be her in the first place. Most men are about quantity, not quality. The quality woman usually becomes a wife, but as a human being and a man, he still craves variety, and he's going to look for quantity. And so the mistress is a part of the quantity equation. At some point, the mistress jealousy turns into envy and then anger. She usually becomes more angry with the wife than her boyfriend, because not only is the wife getting in the way of her happily ever after with her married boyfriend. You guys remember when Ariane called Melody stupid for having a baby with her own husband while she had multiple abortions for him? The mistress begins to see herself as the real wife, the ideal wife. She starts to convince herself that she's supposed to be where the wife currently is, because she went from looking down on her wife for being boring and frumpy and unsexy to realizing that the wife has everything that she ever wanted: stability, family, respect, resources, esteem, and her married boyfriend's heart. So the mistress begins to plot and scheme to figure out ways to sabotage her man's relationship with his wife so he can be with her. What usually happens first is that the mistress starts complaining and giving ultimatums. If you don't do this, then I'm going to do that. And now she's putting her boyfriend in a compromising position because he doesn't want to lose his wife and he doesn't want to lose her either. So he'll try to massage her a little bit, spend a little more time with her, and he may tell her that he's going to tell his wife within a week or so, or a month or whatever. He'll give her some sort of timeline, right? He'll say, just give me more time, give me 3 months, give me 6 months or whatever. He's buying time. And so the girlfriend may be pacified for a little while, okay? But after that timeline is up, and that timeline can extend out to 2, 3, 4 years or more, right? You see, Ariana was with Martell for 5 years before she got pregnant on purpose to force him to leave Melody, in a sense, or to force Melody to leave him. And so, sometimes she'll call the wife and tell her about the affair, or she'll get pregnant on purpose to force the husband to leave, which rarely ever happens. Like Melody did, the wife files for divorce while the husband fights for the marriage he claimed he didn't want in the first place. The husband begins to resent the mistress. He sees her as a threat to his stability. She's an inconvenience, and she's about to ruin everything that he values for real. Because in his mind, she was stupid enough to believe his lies. When the mistress complains about the situation, he'll probably tell her, you knew what it was. You knew I was married from the beginning. And he says this to deflect the blame from himself and onto her because he was the one that lied to get what he wanted. He was the one that initiated the relationship. He was the one with the most to lose. And this makes the mistress even more angry because she realizes that her married boyfriend used her to make his wife's life happier and easier. And it sounds crazy to say, but a lot of married men treat their wives better when they have mistresses. And they do this to rock their wives to sleep so that they won't be suspicious of any wrongdoing. So, like Melody said with Martell, they were still being intimate. They were still going on trips together. He was still very affectionate towards her. His behavior didn't change. And that's what frightened her. It scared her and it traumatized her because this entire time you were putting on a front. You were pretending as if you were loyal to me. You were even more affectionate and loving towards me to the point where now I can't even trust you if I wanted to. Because when things were good, they were actually bad. So how do I know if things are good for real? It seems as if Martell was treating Melody like crap whenever he wanted to spend time with Ariana. That was also happening. So he was treating her well when he was seeing her and there was no interruptions. But when Melody found out about the affair, he started treating her poorly when he wanted an excuse to go see Ariana. So many men treat their wives better when they're cheating because now they have an outlet. They're having their cake and they're eating it too. They're also being nicer because they have a guilty conscience. And that's a really messed up thing to do to somebody. So the mistress is more and more angrier because she realizes that she's being used and she's in love with this guy. So now I'm in love with somebody who has used me and has played me. I need to get something out of this. I'm not going to sit here and just be played. I got to get something out of it. A baby. I need this baby to be a trophy. It's evidence of the relationship I have with this guy. I wasn't just used and played and manipulated, right? I got something out of the deal. So that's why many mistresses get pregnant too, because they want to feel like they didn't do all of that for nothing. That they have a piece of their boyfriend's heart, or so they believe, that they can control. So I'm going to get pregnant because I want to have my own little version of him. And I want to have, a one-up on the wife. Now he has to see me. Now, we're sharing him. Not only does he have to see me, he got to take care of me too. He got to pay child support. And he has to, visit the baby. So now I'm on the same level as the wife. That's why I'm going to have this baby. Because he's not going to play me like that. I'm better than that. I'm better than his wife. Right? So now, in order to compete with the wife, she's going to have his baby. And that usually backfires. For the most part, it backfires. Right? And so, back to my original point. A lot of men treat their wives better when they have mistresses. And they do this to prevent the wife from finding out about the affair. Okay? Over a year ago, I stated that married men cheat with women who make it easier for them to stay married. Most husbands and even some wives, they won't cheat with someone who will destabilize their lives. They want to keep their money, their house, their children, their status, but they also want their fun on the side. So they usually cheat with someone who they would never marry or even claim in public. They're just using the person for sex and attention. A lot of married couples who brag about their perfect relationship use single people or even other married people for sex and attention to feel better about their lives, which is why I keep telling single people to leave married people alone in their misery. Not all married people are miserable, but I have been approached by both married men and single men almost equally. Okay, of course, not all married couples are miserable, but social media has exposed how desperate some wives and husbands are to leave their relationships. You saw what happened with Jada Pinkett and Will Smith, and Jada Pinkett used August Alsina as a boy toy when she had no intention of getting divorced from her husband. Even though she says she never wanted to get married, somehow or another, when August wanted her to leave her husband to be with him, that couldn't happen. This is why I said what I said in the community section. I feel like Jada's full of crap because August was giving you an out. He was madly in love with you. And Jada said that August made her feel amazing. Yet somehow she's still married to a person who she never wanted to marry. The kids are grown. So what's going on? Okay. Anyway, I say all this to say, even though mistresses are jealous of wives and they sometimes do things to sabotage the marriage, it's not 100% the mistress's or side piece's fault. The husband basically created a role for her to play. And so now she's playing that role, right? He hired her for a job. And yes, there are women like Ariane who enjoy inflicting psychological damage on women, on the wives, because they're jealous. But again, that's the husband's fault. The husband's not supposed to allow anybody to jeopardize the safety and the security of his home and his family, especially when he has children. That is his fault. And this is one of the reasons why I said, in spite of everything Ariane has done, Martel is worse than she is. Because he allowed her to do this. He didn't stop Ariane from disrespecting his wife. In fact, he encouraged it. He rewarded her for bad behavior. And Melody did the right thing by not even being pressed about Ariane, because she was nothing to be pressed about. Like, she knew that she had more to offer than Ariane, and she knew that Ariane was just somebody that Martel was having fun with. But, you know, at the same time, she had to divorce Martel because he was being very disrespectful towards her. It was more so him than Ariane in a sense, because Melody even said that it's not about the baby. The divorce wasn't about the baby. It was about him as a person. He was also abusing her emotionally, psychologically. It wasn't just a mistress, right? And so in many cases, that's not like Martel's. Sometimes a husband will check the mistress and put her in her place. But sometimes they don't want to do that because, again, they lied in the beginning and said they don't care about their wives. So why would you check your mistress and, you know, defend your wife if you didn't want to be with your wife in the first place? What was the point of the affair? So the cheating husband sometimes will hesitate to put the mistress in her place because then the jig is up. The mistress will realize that he lied to her the entire time. And that makes the mistress even angrier, which is why some of them, after the affair is ended, they go to the wife and they expose all the details anyway. Like, okay, we're not together anymore, but you're not going to get away with using me, manipulating me, lying to me, and then going back to your wife as if I don't exist. That's not going to happen either. So it's a complicated issue. I'm not saying that all mistresses are jealous of wives. Some of them are ambivalent about the situation in general. So, you know, it depends on, it's a case by case basis. But a lot of these boyfriends are giving their mistresses the husband experience, and now the mistress is emotionally attached and she wants more. And so, you know, the risk of her losing her temper and lashing out and getting revenge is greater. So sometimes the mistress isn't even jealous of the wife. She just wants her lick back. She wants revenge because she was lied to and manipulated into giving someone something that she would not have given him if he told her the truth about the situation. And so she's like, okay, he gets to use my body, raise my body count, you know, get me emotionally invested, and then go home to his wife as if nothing happened. And I've lost time. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I'm lonely. And here he is kikiing and lollygagging with his wife and his family as if this lady doesn't exist. And so sometimes the mistress will look out for the wife and give her a heads up about how dirty her husband is. And she's doing it to be vindictive, yes, but at the same time, the wife has a right to know as well. You know, most times the wife won't leave anyway. And a lot of times the mistresses tell the wives to get it off their chest and to punish the boyfriend for lying to them. But yeah, you know, some mistresses are jealous of wives, like Ariane was of Melody, and some are not. Some just don't want these men out here lying to women and using them. I'm gonna ask you guys in the comment section, do y'all think it's a good idea for the mistress or the side piece or the sneaky link to tell the spouse about the affair, especially if you don't think the spouse is going to leave anyway? That's been a controversial topic in the past. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.